my name again is Beth Malley. I've been a docent at the Wadsworth Athenaeum for 27 years. Wow. I cannot even believe it. It's probably the best volunteer activity ever because I learn both from my visitors as well as we have training, we hear from the curators. It's really just a wonderful experience. So what I have planned for today is we have extra large posters of the works of art that are on the wall or standing in the museum. And so I'm going to show you them. I'm going to talk a little bit about the art. I'm going to ask questions, and hopefully you're going to answer, because works of art are what you see and what you bring to each of the works of art. So any questions before we start? Okay, let me talk a little bit about the Wadsworth. It opened in 1842. It was started by Daniel Wadsworth. He wanted a center of learning between New York and Boston, because obviously in the mid-1800s, travel was difficult. So he opened the first building. We have added 4 since, and we have over 50,000 objects in our collection. We are the oldest, this is a mouthful, the oldest continuously operating public art museum in the country. We did not close our doors, except for COVID, which we had to, but we did not close our doors for our huge renovation that we did where all the works of art were down and we had about 100 objects to show. And so we have been able to maintain our claim to fame. The museum right now has several special programs going on. If it's possible to take a trip down there, it's well worth it. We have a wonderful artist in our Matrix Gallery, which is for artists who are fairly new to museum life. And this particular museum artist is a musician as well as an artist. She's Israeli. She came to the United States to study at Columbia and stayed. And her claim to fame is that women have had a hard time in rock bands. And there is a rock musician, a gentleman, his name is Peter something. He's in the band The Who, and he broke guitars at the end of his performances and smashed them. I'm sorry?
Pete Townsend.
Thank you. What she does is she purchases guitars, she breaks them in her studio, she takes pictures of them, photographs where the pieces land. She comes into the museum. There's big pieces, little pieces, middle-sized pieces. She spreads them out like the photograph showed, and then she restrings them. And you're invited in the gallery to bend over and pluck the strings. So you can literally touch something at the Athenaeum right now. And she is out about in the Hartford area looking for guitarists with an open mind. And they are going to compose music, and at the end of August, we'll put on a concert of the music they've composed. So it's performance art. We have not had a performance artist at the museum in a really long time, so it's very fun. So if you get an opportunity, it's a fun exhibit. So without further ado, I think we'll start. Okay, so we're now in American art. And this was done in the 1700s. It's of Oliver and Abigail Ellsworth. And the Ellsworths actually lived in Windsor, Connecticut, right next to where Loomis Chaffee is today. Their house is still there on the hill, kind of set back. It's open for tours from May until October. So if you look at this painting, what do you think Oliver did for a living? Any ideas?
Lawyer?
A lawyer. Why do you think that?
Because of paper.
He has a paper, right? He's dressed kind of to the nines. Mr. Earl, Ralph Earl, is the artist, and he actually put books behind him. It's not in his real house, this bookshelf, but Mr. Earl wanted to kind of call out the fact that he was an attorney. And he was a very famous attorney. He was actually the first Supreme Court Justice, Oliver Ellsworth. He actually was part of an article in the writing of the Constitution for the United States. Does anybody see what article?
No, I can't read that.
Okay, let me see. Can you read it? So it's Roman numerals,
Yeah,
and it's V11. Article 7
Yeah.
of the Constitution was his claim to fame. So he would travel back and forth to Pennsylvania, writing the Constitution and deliberating with all the other folks who were involved in the drafting of our Constitution. And his wife, Abigail, was home raising her 9 children, taking care of the farm, and he positioned her kind of off to the side with just the drape behind her. She's wearing state-of-the-art clothing, not at all fancy, very sedate, I would say, compared to what they were wearing in England at the time, which was very silky and revealing and beautiful. And her bonnet, I always chuckle about the bonnet, but this bonnet is very, very much in style at the time. Now, Ralph Earl was an itinerant artist. He traveled around because in the United States, we did not have patronage like they did in Europe. So if you were an artist and you wanted to paint, you had to find a way because no one was going to support you. You had to support yourself. And so he went around and did portraits. One of the things that he did was he added something to each of his portraits that would let you know a little bit more about the sitters. And in here you can see the home. It was called Elmwood. It was surrounded by elm trees, which obviously now in Connecticut is rare because there was a disease that struck all the elms. And his house is there, and that's what she, Abigail, would worry about. It's a great picture from a historic sense. The rug that you see on the floor is mirrored in the gallery, so when you walk into the gallery, the carpet is exactly the same. And we have the pink chair that he's sitting on, which came from their dining room set. We have that in the gallery as well. The Ellsworths, Oliver and Abigail. Okay, so now we are in the abstract world. So artists painted in New York after World War II. They had it up to their eyeballs with reality, probably similar to how we feel today, and decided to look within themselves to find inspiration. And they painted their emotion out onto the canvas. And they painted in New York, generally together. And this is a woman who, Helen Frankenthaler is her name, who was allowed to paint with the guys in New York, and there weren't very many women allowed to do this. She was an abstract artist. She just passed away, actually, in 2011. She was in her 80s. But I've used this painting a lot for a couple of reasons. So let's just talk about the work itself. What do the colors remind you of? Any ideas?
Happy color.
Yeah, they are happy colors.
There's something about that just sticks out. The very center of it.
The black. It's called sea, well, I'm telling you what the colors represent, but it's called sea picture with black.
It looks like a horse. Oh, it's a horse.
So I use this because it's based in reality in the sense that the colors are ocean colors. There's blue, there's splashes of like waves popping up on either side. There's coral, which could be sand, it could be shells, it could be coral, actually. And Helen Frankenthaler was known for her drips and draps at the end of the painting. It's actually the canvas showing through at the bottom. She didn't finish it. And then she kind of put this very abstract seagull in the center. It's just a V. And it allows you to know it's a seagull, but it's not every little wing and feather of that seagull. And then she put that black in the middle. So kids tell me that it's a sea monster or an oil spill.
Yep.
Any other ideas of what it could be? She did not say. She just called it black. So close your eyes and imagine you're at the shore and there's a blue sky and the sun is out and a cloud goes by in front of the sun. What's the reflection on the water? It's the shape of the cloud, but black or dark color. And that's what I think it is, because it kind of fits in her picture. But I don't know that for sure. So Helen Frankenthaler, as I said, was one of the women who was allowed to paint in an abstract way. And the thing that I do like about this is that it's a bridge between reality and abstraction because she uses real colors. And there's a bird in there that you can recognize, even though it's abstracted. So many of these artists who were abstract artists were studying. Many were studying things like color and movement on the canvas. So there was a lot happening while they were painting in this style. Helen Frankenthaler. I'm sorry?
I love the colors.
Oh, the colors are beautiful. I love the contrast between the dark coral and the lighter coral, and the contrast between the blues.
I can't get that horse's head out of my... This looks like almost a seahorse. Seahorse down there.
Ah,
Can you see it in the very center? Yeah, I know.
I don't see a horse, but
With the ears, the two eyes,
Oh, I see the
the
horse.
nose on the bottom.
it's kind of like a Rorschach.
Yeah.
Okay, so the museum is open, so Debbie knows. The museum is open on Thursday to Sunday, but we do private tours on Wednesdays.
Oh,
So it's possible to go to the Athenaeum. The other place that would be a fun trip for you all, especially you art buffs, is to go to the New Britain Museum of Art, of American Art, because that's close. The other place is the Florence Griswold Museum, which is in Lyme, I think. And there were a group of Connecticut Impressionists, 10 of them, that used to travel along the Connecticut coast to paint. And they would stay with Florence Griswold in her home back in the day. And it's now a lovely, lovely museum. So there's some easy trips. The Norman Rockwell's a little more difficult just because it's longer. But there's great lunch spots up in Massachusetts in Lee and Lenox.
Yes.
So thank you. Thank you for listening and for attending and for answering questions. And hopefully, I'll see you at the museum one day. Thanks again.
So much, Beth.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming all the way.